Hello everyone, I'm Tracey Braun, Program Manager at CCVO, responsible for membership and the Boland Survey. I'm happy to welcome you all here to our very first webinar, Boland 101, taking an introduction to the Boland Survey. We're going to start in a minute, so get yourself a coffee, get yourself some snacks, and we'll be starting just momentarily. All right, everyone, let's get started. So the Boland Survey is conducted annually, and in 2017, our data submissions are being accepted from June 1st to September 1st, with reports being issued at the end of October. And the first Boland Survey was conducted 20 years ago in 1997 by Peter T. Boland and Associates. And in 2015, Peter Boland signed an agreement to transfer the survey and related properties to CCVO, which is why we are now managing it. So we are the go-to for the survey and its reports. We're expecting this webinar to run for 50 minutes, which will leave us a little time for questions at the end. You should be able to see on the side a little area where you can put in your questions or your comments. And that is being run by my Vanna today, Trevor Prosser, who's our Information Services Specialist. We're going to focus primarily on the survey itself. I'll be highlighting some of the changes we've made for the 2017 survey, both in processes and the information that you're submitting. And I'll also provide some tips which will help you complete the survey and ensure data accuracy. We will be touching briefly on the registration process at the beginning and how to access reports at the end of this webinar for those who are completely new to the survey. If you require any more information about either of these pieces, feel free to drop a question into the box or contact me directly after the webinar. And with that, let's begin. So most, if not all of you, would have completed the registration form by now and received your login information. In the past, we accepted registrations by mail and fax, but as of this year, all registrations must be completed online. We're asking for some pretty standard contact information. As you can see, organization name, address, primary contact information, name and email, and what regions you will be submitting data for. Most organizations will submit data for the region they are in. As you can see as we scroll down, we have the 5 regions: Alberta, BC, Ontario, the Prairies, which consist of Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and Atlantic, which is Atlantic Canada, the Maritime Provinces. But there are some regions that will be submitting for more than one region. So if you're working in a national organization, or if you have staff that are working in more than one region, you want to put that you are submitting data for more than one region. There is no charge to participate in the Boland Survey. But if you wish to order a report, the cost is based on your organization's annual operating budget, which you provide as part of this form. So if we scroll back up, you can see that we have 3 budget categories: less than 1 million, between 1 and 3 million, and over 3 million. If your organization is a charity, you'll find this information on line 4700 of your T3010. You can pre-order a report and pay for it online, so we're going to just do that quickly here. If you scroll down, we'd like to pay online, or you can ask for an invoice if that's more comfortable for you. But the great thing about our new system is that it actually allows you to calculate the cost of the report. So you'll know what the report is going to cost before you order it. You can, as I said, you can order and pay online with a credit card, or you can request an invoice and we will send that to you, which can be paid by check. A reminder that a report can be purchased at any time as long as your organization meets the criteria for that report. So as long as they have participated in this year's survey. We also have a couple of options for people if you wish to learn more about becoming a CCVO member, or if you wish to be contacted about custom analysis of data from the Boland Survey. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to reports at the end of this webinar. So once you've registered, you will receive an email with your login information, your user ID, and your password, as well as a link to where you will be logging in, this screen. The easiest way to log in is to cut and paste the user ID and password, as they are case sensitive. But if you can't find the email with your login information, you can request that it be sent to you again, and I will show you how to do that, because we're going to fake it. Right here, the first major change that we've made to the process for 2017 survey is now if you've lost your user ID or password, you can go ahead and request that information directly from our email system. There's no more need to contact me by phone or email. The login information will only be sent to the email that was used to register for the survey. So if you have a staffing change and aren't sure if you've registered, it's best to contact me directly still and see if your organization has already been registered rather than go through the process again. So let's log in properly now. So the first time that you log in, obviously I've done that more than once, you'll be asked to agree to the participant survey. You can see there's a link to it here as well if you want to take a look at it. The document details out what responsibilities are to you and how the data will be kept confidential by CCVO. After that, this is the page that you will see, the instructions page. My contact information, my email, and my phone number are listed at the top so that you can contact me as needed, as well as links to, as I said, the participation agreement, the instructions guide, and job positions. All of these are PDFs that can be used to support you as you complete the survey. In the middle of the page are the changes that we've done for this year. We've added some new benefits, we've included a question, and we've revised another question, and as well added 4 new positions. We're going to go over those as we come to them in the survey. The rest of the instructions page is a survey overview and how to enter data. Explains how the data input fields change from white to yellow to red, or really from red to yellow to white, depending on the data that you put in. Red means the data still needs to be entered in that field, or that the data that you've entered isn't acceptable by our standards. So it's outside of the expected scope if it's a number. Yellow means the data is not what we would expect to see normally, but it is allowable. And white means the data is within the acceptable parameters. If a field is yellow or white, you can still confirm and submit. If a field is red, you need to change it. Once all the data fields on a page are completed, you will see a confirm button appear, and we're going to go through that process. All pages with data need to be confirmed before the submit button appears. The instructions, as I pointed out, can be downloaded as a PDF. So you can print and read those at your leisure and have them on the side as you're working through the process. On the left of the screen, you will see a sidebar that actually moves with your page as you scroll up and down. And the confirm and submit buttons will appear here under the logout when they're ready to be pressed. You can also see that the status of your pages are listed as pending or confirmed. At this point, all of our pages, of course, are listed as pending, which means that we still have data fields to complete. The participant, HR policy, and benefits pages are single pages only, which means that once you've completed all the data fields on those pages, the confirm button will appear. The salary and contractor pages open up into secondary sets of pages based on the numbers of positions that you need to enter data for. Each secondary page will have to be completed and confirmed individually. So let's jump first to the participant page. It's the easiest page to complete, as some of the information has already been provided when you registered for your organization. Again, name and mailing address, your subsector, your primary and data contacts and their information. But there is some information that we still need to provide here. So if we scroll down, the first place that you'll need to put in some data is your financial scope indicators. So we asked for the annual operating budget and the total annual revenue. So I'm going to drop a number in here to show what I mean by white versus yellow. So as you can see right now, the total annual revenue is white, which means that that number is within acceptable parameters. But when we add the total operating budget of $100,000, it turns yellow. And the reason for that, if you click for info, is that the revenue is less than the budget. Well, some of us do have that happen, so it is an acceptable parameter, but it's not something we'd normally expect to see. The second place that you'll need to put some information in on this page is under staffing and turnover. Here we have the paid full-time equivalent staff currently employed, number of current vacancies, number of hires over the last 12 months, and the numbers of volunteer managed. Because when you put in a number into the paid full-time equivalent staff and the current vacancies, the total full-time equivalent positions will automatically calculate itself. And once we did that, as you can see, the data field changed from red to white, and we now have a confirm button on the side, which means that we have completed all the data fields for this page. So we'll go ahead and confirm that. As you can see up here, the status of this page has changed from pending to confirmed. We're going to switch to the salary data page. So the Boland Survey is the only survey for Canadian nonprofits that reports both annual salaries and equivalent hourly rates. And to do that, we require a lot of information from you. We are currently collecting data on 89 positions, including 4 new positions. And the 4 new positions you can see as we scroll down have the little red asterisks in them. So we have position 134, which is an office manager position. We have position 135, which is a business continuity planner. We have position 335, personal care attendant, and 336, child youth care assistant. The other positions are as they were last year, so if you've participated previously and you know that a position matches what your organization has, you're good to go there. But I do recommend taking a look at those 4 new positions to see if some of the scope of what your staff are currently doing is covered by them. The position descriptions can be found by following the link at the top of the page, so right here. And there's also a link to the PDF on the instruction page where we were previously. Remember that you are matching job descriptions, not the titles of jobs. So please review each of your positions carefully against our list to find the best match. So if you take a look here, we're going to work with position 101 today, because most organizations do have that chief executive officer. In the position, you can see that it refers to who the position reports to, in this case, a fully autonomous board of directors, what the position is responsible for, so working within broad strategic guidelines, financial and operational goals, achievement of revenue fund development objectives, just some of the different pieces. You can also see that they liaison with various levels of government, community partners, or stakeholders. We do, in some cases, include typical titles as well, based on the information that you, of course, are providing to us. But it's important that you review the positions that you are inputting and compare them against your job descriptions in order to ensure that you are reporting for the best ones. Don't get caught up on titles. It's more important about who they report to and what their responsibilities are than what they're called. In some cases, we also include educational requirements, especially for positions that have very specific educational requirements, such as the field of childcare. So please take a look at that as well, especially because we've added a new childcare position. If a position that we've got listed matches at least 60% to a position that you've got in your organization, we consider that a good match. And so when we go back here to the screen, one of the first things we ask is the match quality. So we have good, fair, or no match. If you have no match, there's no reason for you to be inputting any data into this, and there's no expectation of a confirmed or submit. You can do good or fair though. So again, at 60%, we consider that a good match. If it's under 60%, we ask that you compare it as a fair match, and we do take a look at those positions that are considered fair and review them annually. If you are in a situation, and we've had people do this, where the position matches two of ours, for example, a person who does half-time fund development and half-time frontline service, it is completely acceptable to split the position, noting that each then would be considered a 0.5 full-time equivalent and adjust the salary and other pieces accordingly. We ask that organizations complete as many of the salary and contractor pages as are applicable to your organization. But there may be situations where you have staff that don't fit into any of our categories. For example, we have a lot of organizations tell us that they have retail staff and we don't have a position for retail. It's okay to not include them. It's just not possible for us to include all the positions in the survey, although we do continue to add new ones every year or adapt others based on feedback from users like you. You can feel free to send me an email about a position you'd like to see included in a future survey, and there's also information about that on our website. When we're doing these salary pages, each position includes questions on the salary and wage paid to that position, any bonus that's paid, any pension, any vehicle allowance, and health spending account. Under salary and wage, you can see that full-time positions may be entered as annual or hourly, whereas part-time must be entered as hourly. And the reason we do that is because we calculate out then to what a full-time equivalent would be. So here we've got full-time, we can switch it to part-time, and again we can switch it from annual to hourly. We've got range minimum and maximums, which are not required, but if you put in a range minimum, we do expect a range maximum. That's for those organizations that do have a compensation strategy that includes ranges. We're going to switch this to hourly. And if that happens, don't panic. The screen will change like that because the survey does save itself automatically. And we're going to put in an hourly wage. And the reason we're doing that is because I wanted you to see how this calculates. So if we have an hourly wage of $40 an hour and we have a full-time equivalent of 40 hours a week, you can see that it actually calculated the annual salary automatically. If you had put in you were including this as an annual wage or an annual salary, that would have just automatically transferred to the bottom. But we still have a red data field here, and this is the actual hours per week. We've had requests for people to put this in. So if this was an employee who doesn't actually work 40 hours a week, and we had them up at part-time, we would want to, we'll just change this here. We'll change this here. Oh, well, we won't change that there because that's the actual hours your organization considers full-time. But if your executive director only worked 30 hours a week, we would want to know that information. It won't change the calculated annual salary because, again, we're calculating it based on a full-time equivalent, but it does allow you to put in the actual hours that your staff person is working. Just a note here that it is, and I'll click here, yeah, if you put in less than 10, it's less than the expected hours, and red will come up either 1 hour a week or more than the hours, which would be 44 or more. We know there are people that are working more than that, but we are keeping it within the strict letter of the law, so that's 44 hours per week. Other questions on this page include whether this position specifically is bonus eligible, if there's a target and maximum bonus, if they are eligible for a pension plan, and if so, then there's some information there that you need to apply. Some of these you need to take a look over on the side here. Some of these are entered as a percentage. Some of these are entered in the actual amount in dollars. So just keep an eye on the information on the side as to which one is which. There's also a monthly vehicle allowance piece. We try and keep track of that for organizations. And whether they are eligible for a health spending account. For position 101 only, we do ask for extra questions because we do a piece in the report looking at the demographics of CEOs across Canada. We ask the gender of incumbent, the years in the current position, the age of incumbent, and the highest education. This year we have made a change to this question specifically for 2017. We are asking how the individual identifies in terms of gender, male, female, or gender non-binary, non-conforming. And again, you saw when I cleared off the last red field, we got that confirm button. But one piece I want to just scroll up and note here for you is that we assume that in the CEO position that there is one person per organization. We know that have been situations where you have co-directors. In that case, please contact me directly so that we can work through that those 4 extra questions. If you are entering data for any other position, you would just put in the incumbent count. So if you had 10 social workers, for example, you'd put in 10. And then what you would be doing is calculating out the average hours that they work and the average salary that they make. There will be no questions on gender or age or education that you would have to fill out for those pieces. So again, because we have that confirm button, we can go ahead and confirm. And we're good to go. And again, as you see up here, we've got confirmed count of 1. This is a good way to keep track of how many positions you're supposed to be entering data for. The number of positions you're entering data for should at the end match your confirmed count. All right, we'll jump over to HR policy now. So the questions under the HR policy tab are related to those formal rules and procedures that dictate how certain matters are to be addressed in your workplace. So in this section, we ask questions related to salary ranges, how your salary ranges are determined or how your salaries are determined, and any adjustments your organization is making for 2017 or plans to make for 2018. We also look at vacation policies, both for management and non-management, and sick leave policies for management and non-management. We look at hours and overtime, professional fees, and development and training policies, and employee recognition and retirement recognition programs. So we'll scroll back up because that's quite a lot of information that we need to work through. So I've filled in a couple of these already just to get us through them. You can see salary ranges. Do you administer, yes or no? How do you determine individual salaries? Well, it might be that you do market value, in which case you'd switch that from yes to no. When you start out, though, you do need to check which you need to do yes or no. And if you do yes under other, you do need to explain what your determination is. So if you do something other than what you see here, you'd want to explain that to us. Salary budget adjustments. So did you adjust salaries in 2017? And we'll say yes. And then it comes up with how much did you adjust them? And this is based on a percentage. So we'll say 3.5 just because that's the example. And your anticipated 2018, it's not the guaranteed we're definitely going to do this, it's the anticipated. And so we'll say 3.5 as well because, again, that's the example. For vacation policy, you can see that you do have a number to fill out, and we'll just scroll down a moment here to the non-management, and this is what it normally appears like when you start. However, if your organization has the same vacation policy for management and non-management, you only need to do the management part and then just jump down here and say yes, it's absolutely the same as management, and you're good to go. Do you allow vacation carryover? At employee request, at management discretion, or no? And we would say at management discretion and then explain, and that's an optional explain. It's not a mandatory. Sick leave policy, again, is the same. If you have the same policy for management and non-management, you can go ahead and pick one for your management and say it's the same as management up here, and you're good to go. We have changed the wording on sick leave, partly because we've had a number of questions in the past couple of years about this, and so we've tried to make the wording more reflective of what users are asking us. So I'm just going to draw attention to it for a few moments. So we have no formal paid sick leave policy. So that option is chosen if you have no formal paid sick leave policy. You may have an ad hoc policy, but nothing formal and written. There's earned paid sick days, so this would be in a case where for every month you get 1.5 sick days that you earn. If your organization has full or partial pay continued until short-term disability or EI begins, you would want to pick that option. If you have wellness days in addition to earned paid sick days, you'd want to choose wellness days, and that's where people get tripped up. You need to take a look at if your policy is about sick days only or if it does include wellness days. And then if you have a policy that's different than any of those, you certainly can pick other and explain them to us. It is a place where if I'm not sure, I will get back to you during my data analysis in September just to confirm that we've got the right information. Under hours of work, I believe we said that this organization worked 40 hours, whether they get paid personal days, so a flex day or a personal date off. Unfortunately, no. And if yes, then you would have to put how many per year. But we do allow for flexible hours, so that may be that your organization's open hours are 9 to 5, but staff can start at 8:30 or staff can come in at 9:30 and work an appropriate 8-hour day. And if you allow your staff to work from home, and again, it's a policy, it's not an ad hoc, yes, we do. Overtime, you'd want to, how do you typically compensate eligible employees for overtime? And we know some of this is changing in the different regions, and we'll be probably making some changes to this next year. But right now, this is where we are. So it's time off as management's discretion, as straight time, multiple of straight time, cash at 1.5 or at more than 1.5. Professional fees, you may have a policy. And it may be that you have no policy, only required for job, or you pay all fees for professional. And of course, you'll want to do the percentage of fees that are reimbursed. Do you have a development and training policy? So this is where professional development, and I've seen it's very interesting because we have people say, no, we don't, and then go in and fill in pieces that indicate to me they are, and then you'll get a call from me again in September. So you want to know whether it's a global budget, so you have $2,000 in your budget every year that is set aside for staff as a whole to take any kind of training, whether it's individual allocation, so you have $2,000 per year per staff person that is allowed to take it, or whether you have some sort of other piece. So let's say individual allocation, and then we'd look at, we'll say that this is an organization that actually believes in equality across the board, and everyone gets $2,000. There you go. If you changed it and you had global, just a note here, you would need to put it in as a % of base payroll. So not your whole budget, but just payroll. Employee recognition program. Do you have a formal employee recognition program? And how are they recognized? So is it employee of the month, random management recognition, team recognition, or other? And what form does this recognition usually take? We've got a couple of options here. If you are doing cash or gifts, you need to tell us what the average cash or gift is that you spent this year on recognition. And how successful do you deem this program to be? And we're pretty broad on this. It's very successful, moderately successful, or not meeting expectations. A new question for 2017 is the Employee Retirement Recognition Program. We had a number of organizations tell us that they have employees that are retiring and that they're doing some formal recognition for that as well. So we wanted to start capturing some of that. In this case, we ask if it's for all staff, for senior management, or for CEO. And we'll say yes, and we'll say it's a party. There we go. And again, once all red fields have been completed, we have the little confirm button pop up, and we're good to go. Our last major page is the benefits page. Benefits, the questions under the benefits tab relate to various non-wage compensation that your organization provides. So the first question you need to answer here is whether your organization has an insured benefit plan. You can answer yes or no. And whether you answer yes or no makes a change here, but you still have other pieces that you want to ask, or to answer, sorry. Because even if you don't have a benefits package, you may provide some of these pieces to your staff. So let's say that this organization allows, again, for all employees, for senior management or top exec, and you can see that changes to white. But because everything here is listed as yellow, if there's nothing applicable, you simply leave it as is, and it will still allow you to confirm the page. We do have a couple of new benefits here toward the bottom. We have conference registration and travel, maternity or paternity benefits, and those of course would be over and above what your region provides normally, paid leave of absence and unpaid leave of absence. The last questions here on the bottom are related to the total benefit cost as a percentage of your payroll. So not a percentage of your entire global budget, but simply your payroll. So you would include EI, any CPP or pension, federal pension. You'd include WCB, but exclude any paid time off. And you'd enter the numerical value, so the percentage. So in this case, we're going to say 30% because that's the example. We also want to know the employer share of the cost of benefits. So we've got it based as a percentage range rather than a specific percentage, just to make it a little easier for you. So as the question says, on average and exclusive of statutory pension or RRSP contributions. So you should be able to figure that out, and we'll say this. And again, once the button pops up for confirm, you can go ahead and confirm. The great thing with all of this, and we're going to ignore that submit button for the moment, is that if you needed to go back and make a change, so let's go back to HR policy for a moment and say, oh, you know what, we actually don't use salary ranges formally, we thought we did. You can change this, and the confirm button will just simply reappear, so you can reconfirm the page. That means that as you're going through, if you make some changes or need to edit or need to rethink how you answered a question, you can certainly go ahead and do that until you hit the submit button, and you'll just see the confirm button reappear. But if you do make those changes, make sure you reconfirm the page or you won't see a submit button. The contractor page is very similar to the salary page. It's got the same jobs listed. But when you click on them, instead of having that very large screen where you have to talk about range maximums and minimums and so on, we only ask the match quality and the contractor rate, because of course a contractor is only being paid for their hours. They're not getting any sort of benefits or perks in that way. You only need to complete the contractor section if you actually have someone contracted, but we do expect you to have at least one staff person listed under salary, even if it's only a part-time, in order to complete the survey. So as you saw, we have confirmed 4 of the pages. We've confirmed participant, we've confirmed 1 of the salary pages, we've confirmed HR policy, and we've confirmed benefits. So at this point, our submit button has appeared. And it says, if you are finished, you can submit now. What I would do at this point, if I was completing it, is I would go in and I would be reviewing all of the pieces that I've put in just to confirm that I've put in the right information. But if I feel that I am good to go, I would hit submit. And we have the button come up that say, are you completely finished with the survey and ready to submit your data? And of course, I would hit OK. And then 5 minutes later, I would realize that I actually forgot to put something in. One of the major changes we've made this year for the 2017 survey is that when you received the email saying that you have submitted your data, it does allow you now to go in and unsubmit it yourself rather than having to contact me. So if you realize you're in a place where you need to make a change, you can go back into that email, hit unsubmit, and make the change. That unsubmit function will work until September 1st. After that point, you will still need to contact me, and we will need to see if I can unsubmit your data so you can make a change, or if I need to make a change within the database itself. After your data is submitted, you will then get an option, we're going to do this, to print your data. So it comes up like this, and you can go ahead and print it or save it as a PDF. It is all the information that you put into the system so that you are able to then have that record so you can use that next year, or if another staff person is responsible, that they can use it as a starting point for where you need to go. And that is how the system works. We're going to take a quick look at reports, and then we're going to come back and talk about timeline. So as you can see, once you've submitted your data, you get 3 options. You can unsubmit from here, you can print your data, or you can go into reports. Here you're able to see what reports your organization has ordered and what reports they have access to. So if you're not sure if you pre-ordered a survey report, this would be the first place to check. You can see this organization hasn't pre-ordered anything, but we have ordered one from last year that hasn't been paid yet. And we've got several that have been paid. Reports, of course, are released at the end of October, and they contain both narratives on the pieces from the HR and benefits pages and the salary tables. And they're always released as PDFs and can be downloaded from here. They're only available to be purchased by participants. So again, you must ensure that your data has been submitted by the deadline, or you will not be able to access any of them. Okay, and we're going to jump back here for a moment. We're going to unsubmit in case people have questions. And you can see that just takes me right back to there. So just a quick note about timelines. So the Boland Survey is open from June 1st to September 1st. And you can submit data anytime during that period. From September to October, I'll be completing the data analysis, so that's when you may be contacted for clarification on any data you've submitted. And then the end of October, the reports are due to come out. I will note that we often get questions on extensions, and the more extensions that people need, the longer it takes for me to do the data analysis. I've already had half a dozen people submit their data in the last 2 weeks. So if you're able to get your data in early, it does help in terms of getting those reports out to everyone. The last piece I want to touch on is custom cuts. We're going to go back here for a moment. And this was something, again, that you could request for more information when you registered, or you can speak to me anytime throughout the year. So CCVO provides custom cuts and analysis of the data arising from the Boland Survey. Custom cuts are annual and hourly salary tables for one or more positions, just like the salary tables you would find in the reports, but they can be based on a sample on a specific list of organizations that you provide. They can be based on a list of organizations from a region, a subsector, an organization size, or again is generated by you. And these custom cuts range in price from $150 to $450. To order a custom cut, you would contact me directly. You would request what you were looking for. We would take a look to see what kind of data we have available, and you would know the price before the custom cut is generated. We also have the option for custom analysis. So if you are in a situation where you're working on a compensation package or a compensation strategy and you're not sure where to go next, we have the ability to connect you with either one of our staff or someone that we are connected with to provide that compensation expertise that meets your needs. And again, that's something you'd want to contact me directly for. So that's about it, folks. We took a look at the survey. We took a look at how the registration and reports process goes through. And we'll be taking a look to see if there are any questions. So if you do have some, please add them now. One thing we will be asking of you is that you help promote the survey through your networks. One of the biggest pieces we got from our feedback this year was the need for regions outside of Alberta specifically to get more participants. And so we've been doing a lot behind the scenes to help build that market. We've got a PR kit available, so if you have a newsletter or if you want to tweet out on our behalf, please contact me. We can send that information to you. We've also sent out a postcard, so some of you may have received a postcard in the mail reminding you that the Boland Survey is live and ready for data to be submitted. And if you have peers in your own networks that haven't yet participated, we encourage you to connect with them and get them to register and submit data. Even if an organization is not planning on purchasing a report, having a robust data set, having that information from different regions helps everyone. And as I often have to say to people, if you haven't participated, you can't purchase a report. So it's better to participate, submit the data, and have that report as an option than to suddenly realize that you're stuck not having the data you need. Okay. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. I'm sure there will be some throughout the next couple of weeks because this webinar will be available to share out to people. So if you do have questions, feel free to contact me directly. Again, you can contact me at info@bolandsurvey.com or at 403-910-5872. And I just wanted to thank everyone for attending and for helping promote our survey to your networks. And the recording will be available on our website later today. Thank you.